Hello YouTubers, welcome to my channel. Today we're making a video on Fallout 4 and the Country Crossing settlement and what I've done there. Right, so the settlement's a little tricky to build at because of the landscape, just kind of like the Coastal Cottage one. I made a video on that not too long ago, how I transformed that into quite a nice looking place. So let me show you what I've done here. Feel free to use any of these ideas as your own. Without further ado, let's get started. So I'm going to just show you the outside first. As you can see where we are at the moment, if you guys aren't familiar with the settlement, it's kind of the Hangman's Alley down there, and it's just this one right over there. Okay, so as you can see, I've got a lot of wooden fences here. I tend to build with concrete a lot, but I'm trying to do more sort of wood structures because I think it looks more natural than concrete. Concrete's a little bit easier to actually build with. As you can see, I've got some accommodation or little houses at the top. I wanted to be a little bit more realistic, so I put these beams here to hold this up to make it look a little versus them just kind of floating in the air. Got a whole bunch of other beams here as well, and then I have some inside I'll show you a bit later on. As you can see, I'm using mostly a concrete base with concrete blocks at the bottom, with a couple exceptions where I couldn't actually get a concrete block. This kind of little area that I ran out, which is kind of cool in a way because it runs straight into kind of the little house that's there by default, so you can't actually get access to that one if you wanted to. Okay, and this water area, which is the area that I particularly don't like, and I wanted to kind of clean this up just from the inside point of view, but as you can see, I've got some structure around there. You can't actually build further than this anyway. Okay, so that's what the outside looks like. So let's go take a look on the inside. See, I got a bunch of steps here, so a whole bunch of concrete blocks, and then some wooden steps that lead up to that. And as you can see, it looks, if you're familiar with the settlement, it generally has a whole bunch of grass, a little fire pit here underneath. This is the original fire pit. There's one right underneath this deck in here. I just put it on top. The other thing that you can do is, because when the doctor and the traders come by, they will tend to sit underneath the deck, which is not what you want. So what you do, if you put some chairs around sort of the top of the deck, they'll tend to actually sit on the chairs so that they don't actually sit underneath. So there's a tip for you.
Crops coming in pretty good.
Okay, and there's the rest of the settlement, and we'll just take a walk around here. So I kind of just started, I took kind of the highest point, which was kind of around this kind of area. My gun here quick.
Forever. At least, not if I have my say.
So kind of around here is kind of the highest area, give or take, and I just kind of wanted to build it against the side where the maximum building distance. Just as a note, don't have any mods here. I generally don't build with any mods. I don't like building with mods. I just like it to be more natural. So I've kind of just built it there and just built it towards this direction. As you can see, the original house is down here, and I kind of left that pretty much the same. Didn't really do anything with that. I was tempted to turn this into sort of a kitchen, maybe like a mini kitchen or something, but I decided against that. Put some stuff there. Now this was the area that I wasn't really too happy with and how it looks. So as you can see, I built a whole bunch of deck around here. I managed to get fairly high amount of water. I got 93 water, I think. So I got a 40, and then I got, I think, about 5, 10 10s in here, which is more than ample. And I think I have a 3 somewhere. Some deck. You can see I use some rubber floors here, rubber floor mats here, just because it didn't actually work out with this little lounge area. So I was going to build this up and make this a kind of a house, but I think it's a lot nicer, more open. Just kind of lounge and TV and some stuff there. The lookout towers at each area, each side. So as you can see, it looks very different than the original settlement. Looks a lot nicer. If you watch my videos, I do like to build with decks. I like the deck look. So we have the cooking area. We have the kind of trader areas here. I kept the original. I generally keep the original. I try to anyway. Sometimes the original area where you cook, where you grow your crops. So I just left that pretty much the same. I did remove a couple of fences and stuff here, just so I could build some decks around there. Added some additional crops. Okay. Then I have this accommodation. So I really like this sort of accommodation with the colored doors. As you can see, they look kind of like nomad houses in a way. And then I keep as many trees as I possibly can. I like the character of the trees, so I try not to remove trees if I don't have to. I just build around them. As you can see here, I mean, just little fences and stuff. It looks pretty. Now I can put a whole bunch of, if I need extra accommodation, there's a whole bunch of space here for the extra accommodation. Some more houses. So as you can see, I've got some more stilts there. Just kind of give it that more natural, realistic look to hold up the above deck in there. Got some more, as you can see, some more pillars here. Now I originally just had the bottom layer of houses, but I kind of wanted to have something above it. I thought I would try, see if I could make it look, and it actually turned out pretty nicely. Gives you kind of a nice overview of the settlement. Little sitting area, yeah. Those colored doors really make it kind of stand out. Looks kind of unique and trendy there. Very cottage-like, I guess. So I have about 20 beds with all of those combinations. These guys at the top here and underneath, I think I put 2 beds in each. And yeah.
There's a story here. We'll find it.
Additional chairs. So another thing I like to do is I'd like to try and keep the power underground if I can. As you can see, I've got conduit that goes underneath, and I'll show you that in a sec what I did there. So for this one here, as you can see, I actually have conduit coming up just in the middle. Yeah, you can kind of just see it there hidden in amongst the plants. Coming up here, this one actually just went straight through the roof, was kind of interesting. I'll show you what I do there. So as you can see underneath here, I like to put these four-way conduits in here with the light on top. That allows you to, if you saw what I did with Spectacle Island, you can pretty much have an entire electrical grid underneath. And then if you put one of those lights at every section, especially if you're working kind of at night time, it really helps you to kind of see where the different sections are. And as you can see, you can just pretty much, and I have some more down there, if you can see down kind of at the back there, going towards the other the housing that I've got there. And you can make an entire grid underneath if you got them you got them high enough. Now the problem with this settlement is it's got these slopes of sand which make it a little difficult to actually build, because they tend to go into slopes. You kind of have to make them higher. Even this isn't really quite high enough. Maybe one more would have been okay, but then it kind of still runs into the ground depending where you actually are. So and that way you can completely sort of well, not completely eliminate, but certainly make it a little bit nice in terms of not having these electrical wires go all over the place. You can hide them a little bit. I could probably spend more time and do a better job there, but I'm pretty happy with how that turned out. Yeah, I think so. That one actually went through the roof, which was kind of nice. Sometimes they don't actually go through walls, and that it makes it a little bit trickier to do. I did a similar thing over here, except unfortunately I couldn't get it to go through the wall. So what I tend to do is I tend to hide it and then just cover it up with some rubber map. As you can see, it comes up over there, and then I have it coming up there. So that one doesn't look as great, but it's kind of on top, so it's not really, it's kind of out the way. Kind of see it there through the wall there, it's going there, so it's kind of pretty well hidden there, kind of out the way, which kind of looks nice. And another thing I like to do is build with oil lamps. Just they don't need wiring or anything like that, very easy. They have that sort of soft glow look as well, which I kind of like. Obviously much easier to manage. This area, yeah, actually looks quite nice. It turned out to be sort of like a patio area, not intentional. Just the way it was built, and then I ended up joining and overlapping some of these concrete blocks, and it actually turned out quite nicely there. So there you go. So this is Country Crossing. I really like how this one kind of turned out. Definitely take a look at my coastal cottage build. It's similar in a way that I've taken a settlement that looks pretty ugly and quite hard to kind of figure out what you have to do or get around it. But I mean, with all this decking, it transforms this place into a really nice settlement that you kind of want to spend time at. So there you go. Like I said, feel free to use some of these ideas in your own settlements. If you did find this video useful, go ahead and hit the like button, and if you haven't subscribed, please go ahead and subscribe. I do appreciate all our subscribers. Chair back. I like kind of doing this area where you've got a whole bunch of plants and that. I actually got this from another YouTuber. I forget her name now. She made an awesome video of Spectacle Island, the best I've seen, to be honest. But she did a lot of that type of stuff, which looked pretty cool. There's no way justifies that, but yeah, I kind of like those areas. You put them around and cover them with plants. They look
Can't hold the torch.
So as you can see, I have a little. I say I've got a few concrete walls. I have a lot of concrete floors, which obviously look nicer. There's all these marble-looking floors, which are kind of cool. But I generally build a lot of concrete walls, which I've tried to avoid. But I do have a few here. I ended up putting one here only just because I thought I was gonna put the top deck on top of it and make it more realistic to kind of balance it. And I have one here, but most of it's wood. I tend to build more with wooden fences now. It looks a little more natural and much nicer from a viewpoint of view, right? So I mean, it kind of just looks aesthetically nicer than. Surprisingly, I haven't been attacked at the settlement yet since I started building. Normally by now I would probably have some raids, but I know I have general defenses yet, but still haven't been attacked yet, which is kind of interesting. There you go. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed.